Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
We will generally go for the lock and roll option. Lock as in you are locking the current rule set and you are rolling the changes into a new rule set. That's why it's called the lock and roll. What happens? You are locking the current rule set and you are rolling the changes into a immediate next higher rule set. And within this lock and roll, we have three different options again. Lock and roll comes with three different options. Do not update my application. Second one is update the application to include the new rule set version. The third one is create a new version of the application. Three things. What are those? Do not update my application. Update the application to include the new rule set. The third one is create a new version of the application. We will be practically implementing all of these three today. No worries. Before that, let's try to understand how this lock and roll works, and then we will jump back to the implementation part. For example, when you start the application or when you start building it, initial version or the base version will have a lot of rules. Correct. Because that's probably the first implementation you're working on and you will have a lot of rules. Going forward, when you keep on, suppose you have the next version of the application, something like O1, O1, O2. Will you be modifying all the rules that are available in O1, O1, O1? Whatever is important or probably whatever had some defects or whatever is part of our enhancements, we will be touching only those rules. It's not mandatory that I have 100 rules in O1, O1. All those 100 would be modified in O1, O1, O2. No, not mandatory. Now let me just show this particular thing here. The simple scenario here where the original, the first or the base version, O1 for example, has three rules. Rule A, Rule B and Rule C. Whereas after your initial version of O1, O2, which only has a Rule A being updated. Whereas Rule B and Rule C are still part of O1, O1. I did not touch those rules. Now there is one more version coming up, this O1, O3, where I've updated Rule B and Rule C. Then on the third patch, O1, O4, Rule B is updated again. Now, if I would like to ask, what is the version of Rule A that the system would pick? From which version would it be? Would it be from original patch, second patch or third patch? For A, it will be from the first patch. Exactly. Because the most updated rule or the most updated version of that Rule A lies with the first patch. Then for Rule B, from the third patch. Second path. Perfect. The system is going to pick the highest version of each rule instance. Even though you might have different versions, the system will always try to choose or resolve the rules depending upon their availabilities. We will talk about rule resolution. That's an entire algorithm which says how a guy is going to identify the rules, probably in the next couple of sessions. But until then, the rules are resolved or the rules are identified depending upon the versions. Let us consider the highest version of the rule would be picked for each rule instance. Now I think we will go ahead. We will see how this is going to work. Let us go to the implementation part. We will see all the three different options that we have with regard to block and roll. Once we implement this, then we will come back and see the second option. Pega has provided us with the results for this application version because this is not something that we do on a daily basis. No, it's not like creation of rules or like updation of rules. We wouldn't do this versioning every single day. We would focus this for a particular release. Once you're planning for a release, then we think of how are we going to version it or what major changes are we bringing on. We look at those things as inputs and then we start to version it. It might be for a sprint. Few projects have a release for each sprint. Few projects have a release for every 3 months or for 2 months. That frequency depends upon the kind of release you are looking at. But this is not something that every developer does every day. No, it's not like chickens and checkouts. It's something we do for a purpose when you are trying to have releases on your application. I'm directly launched on to the Dev Studio this time because I've changed the default portal earlier for this access group. My default portal used to be Admin Studio, but now we changed it to the Dev Studio. First, let me just open the application definition. We'll just have a look at the rule sets. Because when I version the application, which means my rule sets are being versioned. Correct. Look at the inserts and we will see what versions of the rule sets are available. We'll just have a look. Then we'll proceed for the lock and roll options. Here comes my application rule sets. O1. If you observe, By default, we will only be in the major and minor versions here on these rule sets. Generally, patch versions would not be listed out, which means all the versions are by default included in this rule set. Starting from O1 until 99 is considered as part of this rule set unless explicitly given. Suppose I give O01 65, which means only until 65 or only until O101 65, we will be able to handle the rules here. Anything beyond the 65 version will not be available or will not be considered as part of this specific application, or at least for this particular operator. By default, in most of the scenarios, it goes with major and minor version mentioned on the rule sets. Let me just open rules and HRS. And like I said, this lock and roll or the skimming the application version is considered part of a separate wizard. Because when you are going to version an application, definitely some steps are involved. It's not like just I click something, I create an application. No, it has a proper set of wizard to look after the process. Let me open the wizard and click on Configure. The application structure in there. And then your rule set step. I'm going on to the configure application structure and rule set step. Yes, here is my root HRS. Currently with version, it is not currently locked. This is the status that I have before performing any sort of machine. Lock and roll is best suitable for your patch related versioning or until the minor versioning also. Both of these scenarios, we can go for lock and roll. This lock and roll is a separate wizard here. Here you see I've launched onto this screen where I get to see the application, then the rules corresponding to each of the rule sets. Now here comes your option lock and roll. There's one more option called package and roll. That comes when you would like to export a copy of your current application and then you want to increase it. You can go for package and roll. But now I'm not looking at the deployment or the packaging. We are looking at just locking and rolling. Let me choose this lock and roll option. The lock and roll gives you options of which or what is the next version you are trying to look at. By default, it will give you a version, but if required, you can also change it. Here comes a list of all the available rule sets. Now I would like to sort all I would like to lock and then can also give me a password, and you can also set into which version you are going to roll it. By default, the systems are just the patch. That's why you see O1, O1, O2 as default. But if required, I can jump across the patches, or if required, I can also directly jump onto the minor versions as well. For example, let me roll it and I would like to roll it to all O1, O2. Let me change the description of the rule set that I would like to see what is being updated. I will give you a password also that existing ones have to be locked. This is just a best practice whenever you are implementing your rule set versions. Always lock existing version. When we give password, it will not lock the O1, O1, O2. It will lock the previous versions. Exactly, this is for locking O1, O1, whereas your O1, O2 is open for editing. I mean, that's like the current latest version that I have. Any new changes will go in O1, O1, O2 this time because old O1 is locked. And yes, it is a good practice that always, at any given point of time, we should have only one open version of rule set. Because it should not create an ambiguity. If you have like multiple developers in the team, everyone should focus on one particular version. Few developers add rules to O1, 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 to 1102. This is not a good practice. It creates a lot of ambiguity. And then there comes my three different options. Do not update my application. Update my application to include versions. Create a new version. Let's see. I will go with do not update my application, which means let us run this first. Which means you are increasing your rule sets, you are incrementing it, you are locking the existing one, you are creating a new version O1, O1, O2, everything is good. But this does not reflect on the application rule. For example, now you see what is the current version that you see is O1, O1, O2, which means this wizard is successful. Let us just go back. Let me see the HRs, my HRs. Ideally, what should happen is O1 or O1. Yes, it is locked. Whereas O1 or O2 it is available for editing. There is a change on the rule set which is, as expected, good. But do I see any changes on the application directly on the HRs? No, I don't see them. Here I still see the rule set as HRs O1 only. That's the reason when you are using patch increments or when you want minor enhancements to be done, you can go for do not update my application. This is not directly impacting anything on the application layer. But when you go into the rule set layer, I see O1 is locked. Now any new changes can be brought O1, O2. Application directly, just that the rule sets have been updated. Clear with this option. Do not update. Why it is do not update? This time, let's go with the second option and refresh this wizard. This time I should see rule sets as HRs O1, O2. Yes, I see them. Let me lock them again. Earlier, only new version of rule set is created but nothing is changed on the application layer. This time we will see what happens. Again I'm going to lock. And it's not necessary that all of these should be locked and rolled. Maybe your changes could be only on the application rule sets. These two alone. It's not mandatory that all the rule sets should go into new version. Not at all. Let me lock it. This time what I'll do is we'll roll into O1, O2, O1. For example, this time I have some minor enhancements. Oh, and I would like to change the description as well. If you look at the earlier description, yes, we had O1, O1, O2. This time I'll make it O1, O2, O2. I'm going to use a second option this time. Update my application to include the new rule set versions. We're incrementing the rule sets. Along with that, you're also updating your application. What I'll do is maybe I'll update the description as well. I would like to update the description as the application this time. Let's see what happens. Now I should see a change from O1, O1, O2 roll O2, O1. Let's see. Seems like the current version has become O1, O2, 1 and the system is suggesting next one could be O1, O2, O2. Now let us go back to my rule set. Now I see O1, O2 as the latest version. Let's refresh this. Would there be a change now? Would there be a new version? From O1, O2. Now we have a new version which is O1221. Yes, it is reflecting on my rule set. Now, will this reflect on the application? Do you think this HRs will be modified as well? Yes, it does. Let's refresh this and you see even the application definition also modified with the new one which we have given O1, O2, O1. I see a new application definition and I also see the change in the version here which is O1, O2 this time. Earlier it is O1, O1 only. With whatever patch, how many ever patch changes you make, the same O1 would still remain here. But now as we have chose the option as update my application to include the new rule set, now I see O1, O2 coming up on my application definition. But this did not create a copy of any new application, and that is that the existing application is modified, is updated. Clear with this option. Update to include the new rule set versions. Now the last one, the interesting one is, let us just refresh this. What is the last one say? Let me knock and roll. This time again, all of these. Let me roll all of this to new version. I put it to O1, O3, O1. But ideally, we wouldn't jump this quick when it comes to minor or patch version. We would take it like for each release. First, we will start increasing the patch versions to look after your defects and bug fixes. Then, if there's an immediate enhancement, you will go for the minor version increment. Let me also update the description to O3. This time, third option is create a new version of my application. Here you are creating an entire new version of your application, along with your rule sets, along with their versions. Here an entirely new application instance is going to be created. And you can choose what its version is going to be. Let it be O3, O1, O1. The description is going to be HR services. O3. Let's see what happens this time. An entirely new application version should be created. What does it say? The application HRS has been rolled from end to end. You may need to update your access groups or application stack to use the new version. It says an entirely new application is created. Please manage your access groups accordingly. The same. What happened? Let us see. Would there be a change in the rule set now? If I refresh, can I see O1, O3, O1 this time? You should. You should be seeing O1, O3, O1 which is the current latest version of this rule set. Perfect. Then what about the application? Let me open the application. Will I see any changes here directly on this application? No, I don't see any. I still see O2 and even the rule sets also show O1, O2 only. Then where is my change? What is that third option that we have done? Create a new version. Where is it created? That is created as a separate application instance. Now, when you look at this, let me show the application instances. You see with HRs now I see two instances. One is with O11 with whatever updates you have brought, that is there. Along with that, there is HRS01, O301, which is the new application instance that is created. An entirely new application version is created. Let us open this. Here, what do you see on the HRs? Yes, you see the updated definition. What about the rule set? You see O1, O3 this time. But what about the earlier one? Earlier is still until O1, O2 itself. This scenario is used when you have or when you want to have multiple people have access to these two different applications. Probably for controlled releases, and all you can go for this particular option. This is handled as two different applications now. See the access group, for example. Currently, this access group HRs is pointing to O1, O1, O1. But now you see I have HRs but with two different versions. Is O1, O1. There is O3, O1. I can restrict people from accessing the older version of the application and the newer version of the application. That is handled as an entirely separate application. Clear with these three different options. Do not update to include the rule set. Then the last one is create a new copy of the application. When the operator will log in and if we go to application definition, the user will be able to see the application which is mentioned in his or her access group. Exactly. Correct. Currently, this user is able to access only O1, O11, which means he can only access this particular definition, which means he can only access until O1, O2 as these rules. Anything beyond O1, O2, he cannot access those rules. Like, which means only the base copy or existing copy, whatever he is working on, he'll be able to continue on that itself. The new enhancements that you might have made in O1, O3 will not be impacting for him. This part of O1, O3, which if I only have access until O1, O2, I am limited only until that. Beyond that, I cannot handle the rules or I cannot. Now, in fact, I will not be able to access them at all. Clear with this. This is what I was talking about. Let us just have a quick look at this. Do not update your application. You will only be incrementing your patch options most of the times. And that does not have to be updated on your application definition. Whereas update my application will have that change that you brought. It will be available on the application definition itself. Whereas third one, you can have specific people only to access your latest version of the application. The regular developers, they can still continue working on their old actions. That is handled like separately as two different applications. Clear with this? Perfect. All these things that we have seen, lock and roll and all, seems good. Like when I have a limited number of rule sets, probably 10 to 15 rule sets, I can, start selecting each one of them, deselect, and then I can give it some passwords for it, lock it, which is kind of. What if I have a lot of rule sets? It's a huge enterprise application you're working on. Every time, I cannot keep on checking those boxes and then giving in the passwords. It's kind of a tedious job, isn't it? And also, I cannot have the copy of the rules being carried out for every release. What we do is we come with a process called skimming. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.